Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I am so glad to see you guys again. Okay, you can see this picture I have up right here. This is a picture of Jesus being tempted by Satan, illustrated by Gustave Doré. That's one of my favorite artists. This was a woodcut, I believe. So he would draw the picture on a block of wood, then cut it out, then stamp it with ink. Hey, that's a very fun way to do art, guys. That makes me want to do some woodcut art. You know what I'm saying? That's how they used to get images in books back in the day. But Gustave Doré, he's the GOAT. But I want to talk about this picture. I want to talk about the time when Satan tempted Jesus and how Satan is actually Yahweh. We're going to prove it. So Jesus was tempted of Satan in the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. The Israelites were tempted by Yahweh in the wilderness for 40 years, where they were starving too. They were complaining they didn't have any food. Jesus was fasting. Very same, 40 days, 40 years. Both of them were hungry, going without food. But the funny thing I found is, what did Satan promise to Jesus? Satan went up to Jesus and he said, "Hey, Jesus, if you bow down and worship me, I will give you power over all nations of the earth, and I'll give you riches. I'll give you everything. I'll give you your heart's desire," right? Now go read the Old Testament. Go specifically Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Deuteronomy 28:1. Read it, guys. Please go read it. The Israelites, Deuteronomy 28:28 really well, right? The blessings and the curses. Isn't that your favorite chapter? That's a Jew's favorite chapter in the Bible. That's because they worship Satan. All right. Well, technically, anybody who says Yahweh is God, you worship Satan. That's the devil. But anyway, Deuteronomy 28:1, Yahweh, he took Moses up to the top of the mountain. Oh, that's another thing. Satan took Jesus up to the top of a mountain. Yahweh took Moses up to the top of Mount Sinai. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing, guys. I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same. So in Deuteronomy 28:1, Yahweh tells Moses, he says, "Hey, Moses, if you bow down to worship me, I'm going to give you power over all nations on the planet Earth." That's exactly what he promised. He said, "I'll give you power over all nations. I'll give you the whole earth. You will rule over all kingdoms." And that's literally what it says, Deuteronomy 28:1. And that's what the entirety of the Old Testament says. All through the Old Testament, Yahweh is continually telling the Israelites, like, look, if you bow down and worship me, and if you do all that I command thee this day, that you're going to have power over all the nations. And in the kingdom of heaven, the nation of Israel is going to be on top, and all the other nations of the earth will be our subjects. They'll go into slavery. That's literally the same thing Satan promised Jesus. Did not Satan say, Jesus, hey, if you bow down to me, I'll give you power over all nations, all right? That's why Yahweh is known in the New Testament as the God of this world. Now, if you ask any Christian today, ask them, say, who's the God of this world? They'll say Satan. Like, why? Who is the God? Tell me some of the God of this world's attributes. Oh, materialism. Yes, that's Yahweh. Yahweh is the God of mammon. Look, no man can serve two masters. Okay, no man can serve two lords. In the Greek, the word for masters in the Greek is kurios. That means Lord. So actually, Jesus said, no man can serve two masters. You cannot serve God and mammon. You cannot serve God and Yahweh. Yahweh is the God of mammon. He promises you material riches. The land of milk and honey. There it is right there. The land of milk and honey. That's the same thing Satan promised Jesus. Satan did not say the land of milk and honey. But what he promised Jesus was power over all nations. The same thing Yahweh promises the Israelites. And the Israelites, their land, the land of Israel, is called the land of milk and honey. So that's the gift. And that is the reward for worshiping Yahweh, is material riches, material wealth. You will gain material possessions. Yahweh will gift you with the land of milk and honey. If you obey Yahweh, he'll gift you with a goat. He'll get gifted with some chickens and some goats. He'll get a donkey. He'll give you some gold, some silver. He'll give you slaves. Getting slaves, that's a reward from Yahweh. That's also a reward from Zeus. Paganism and Judaism is the same, guys. It's all materialism. The God of this world. That's the old ways, the old caveman religion, Judaism. So yeah, everything Yahweh promises you in the Old Testament, go read it. You can read all the prophecies, everything. What does he reward everybody with? He rewards them with riches and power over their enemies. He lets them rule over their enemies. That's literally exactly the same thing Satan promised Jesus while he's in the wilderness, on top of a mountain, fasting. Oh, that's funny to me, man. So yeah, I'm just making this video because I wanted to talk while I was driving home. And just let you guys know, look, man, it's not a good idea to worship Satan. I know you truly believe that Yahweh is the real God. That's not the real God, that's the devil. He literally promises you the land of milk and honey. Show me in the New Testament where Jesus promises you the land of milk and honey. Tell me where Jesus says that we will be rewarded with the land of milk and honey. He never said that. He said, my kingdom is not of this world. Where do you find the land of milk and honey at, guys? Where is that located? The land of milk and honey is located in this world. That's because Yahweh is the God of this world. All right? When you read the Old Testament, all through the Old Testament, he says the earth belongs to me. Okay, this is my earth. This is my world. All right? Nowhere in the Old Testament did it say that Satan has control over all nations. Because remember, Satan is tempting Jesus. So Satan promises Jesus power over all nations. How can Satan promise something to Jesus that he doesn't even have? Satan does not possess the nations. The only other story, long story we have about Satan in the Old Testament is in the book of Job. So what do we find out about Satan in the book of Job? First of all, we find out that he works for Yahweh. Other parts in the New Testament, Yahweh is equated with Satan, like in the numbering of Israel. If you know about that, you know about it. I'm not going to go into it. We all know about the numbering of Israel. Yahweh is equated with Satan. All right. But in the book of Job, Satan in that book works for Yahweh. And he does everything that Yahweh commands him. Yahweh commanded him to go tempt his servant Job. But hold up, the New Testament teaches us that God does not tempt anybody. Why would it say that? That's referring to the ways of Yahweh. Because, the Jews, they were always taught, God's a tempter. He'll tempt you. God's going to tempt you. So that's why Jesus came along and was like, nah, the real God doesn't tempt you like that. The real God's not going to make you sacrifice your son. All right? He's not going to torture his most loyal servant. Nowhere in the New Testament did Jesus make anyone sacrifice their son, play a prank on him. Nowhere in the New Testament did Jesus torture his most loyal disciples. Okay? Jesus is the 100% opposite of Yahweh. Like I said, Jesus was in the wilderness fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And Satan took him up to the top of a mountain. Where in the Old Testament is Satan on top of a mountain? Nowhere. Where in the Old Testament does Satan take people up to the top of a mountain? Nowhere. Okay, who takes someone up to the top of a mountain in the Old Testament? Yahweh. He takes Moses up to the top of a mountain. Says, if you bow down and worship me, I'll give you power over all nations of the earth. So Satan ain't got no mountain. He ain't promising nobody nothing. Okay, so when you see Satan in the New Testament, that's really talking about Yahweh. And that's just the facts, guys. And they rewrote it and they redacted the text to make it look like it's talking like the God of the Old Testament is the real God. It's not. The New Testament text has been played with. It's been redacted. It's been edited. They edited it. I don't know how to stop on that. All right, it's hard to hit the brakes on that word. Okay, I mean, that's just so clear. Okay, because Yahweh is the 100% opposite. Jesus was in the wilderness fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. That's a reflection on Israel being tortured in the wilderness. Oops. Damn it. Israel, damn it, Israel was being tortured in the wilderness by Yahweh. They were complaining and they were hungry. Guess what? Yahweh killed them. He burned a bunch of them up with fire because they complained they were hungry, right? What did Jesus do when people were hungry? He fed them. He did. Where in the Old Testament do you see, people saying they were hungry and Yahweh fed them? No, he called them oh, y'all a bunch of murmurers and complainers. Y'all complain too much, all hungry all the time. You know what I'm saying? But Jesus, he just fed everybody. Okay? In the Old Testament, Yahweh hurts and destroys people. He injures people. He murders. Jesus heals people. Yahweh puts you to death. Jesus raises you from the dead. Okay, in Deuteronomy 28, that's like the biggest chapter in the Old Testament. One of the curses for disobeying Yahweh is getting plagues. Okay, Yahweh's going to hit you with a plague, with some kind of infirmities. Well, guess what? Jesus is going to heal you of those infirmities. He's going to heal you of those plagues and of those diseases. All right? Yahweh, yeah. Yahweh will curse you with leprosy. He cursed, who was that? Was it Joab? He cursed Joab's entire line with leprosy. Jesus will heal your leprosy. See? It's totally opposite, bro. In the Old Testament, Yahweh sends lying spirits on people. He put evil spirits on people. He put the lying spirits in the mouth of the prophets. Does that sound like something Jesus would do? He gonna make everybody start telling lies? That's only something the devil would do. That's only something Satan would do. And one of Yahweh's nicknames, one of his titles is El Shaddai, the breast god. El means God, Shaddai means breast, or it really means demon. It doesn't mean breast, guys. Yahweh's really not a tranny. El Shaddai means the demon god, the destroying god, like Apollo. Because Yahweh actually has a lot of Apollo's attributes. Like the Seduceus, his destructive ways. He also has attributes of Aries. Yahweh's a man of war. That's another thing. Exodus 15:3 says Yahweh's a man of war. Yahweh's his name. But Jesus clearly taught peace and love. But really, Yahweh, his main attributes really equal those of Zeus. Okay, Yahweh, the Romans called Yahweh Yahweh. Or he has 12 tribes, 12 Olympians. It's all the same, bro. Okay, he lives on a magical mountain. Let's go back to the magical mountain. Man, what the hell is going on right here, bro? Hold on a second. I'm trying to pull up out of here. I got Africans just everywhere. I'm trying to maneuver through them. Let me see you guys do that. Okay. They need to give Africans bumper cars. They should have like inflatable like things going all around their car. They got to make special cars for Africans. That's probably an investment right there. We can make a product, guys, and make some money. African-proof cars. Shit. All right, so I'm nearly the end of my video. I think I made my point clear already. There's 1,000 things I forgot to say, but like I said, no man can serve two masters. Yahweh's the devil. Look at this picture, bro. Who else was taken up to the top of the mountain? Moses. Yahweh took Moses up to the top of the mountain in the wilderness. Where is Jesus at? In the wilderness. With who? Satan? Come on, bro. Was Satan in the wilderness in the Exodus story? Was Satan in the wilderness in the Exodus story? Because this scene right here with Jesus and Satan on top of the mountain mirrors the Exodus story and the Israelites in the wilderness perfectly. Except for one problem, there's no Satan in the Exodus story. There's only Yahweh. So Satan is Yahweh. It's pretty clear, guys. Y'all got to stop worshiping Yahweh. That's all I'll tell you. You better listen to what I say. You know I would never do you no wrong. You know I ain't just going to make up no shit. Okay, I'm a very serious person. I'm not bugged out. I'm not crazy. All you have to do is use your spirit. Okay, check your moral compass. All right, is it broken? Does it work? Okay, look inside your spirit. Can you tell what is right or wrong? Look at Yahweh in the Old Testament. He tortured his most loyal servant. He tempts people. He tempted Job. Satan is the tempter. He's the god of this world. Like, he promises you material riches. He rewarded Abraham with riches after he sacrificed his son. He rewarded Job with riches. He rewarded Solomon with riches. Richest man who ever lived. And the wisest. And he stopped worshiping Yahweh because he was the wise man. He was very wise. Okay, so I really like Solomon a lot. And I really hope Solomon is real, guys. Like, I got my fantasies. I hope Atlantis is real. I mean, maybe there's a real King David. And sometimes I fantasize maybe King David's real and he did not really collect 200 foreskins. And that was just the evil Jew version of the King David. And that's not, some people speculate on that. So I fantasize about this stuff sometimes, But, there's some people who say, oh, originally King David didn't actually worship Yahweh. He worshiped El. And then later when the Yahweh worshipers, they came through and they incorporated Yahwehisms into the El worship and all that stuff. Whatever, bro. El is Saturn. Back in the olden days, the Greeks, the Phoenicians, everybody worshiped Saturn. Then one day, Zeus took over. Yahweh took over. So whatever, guys. I'm sorry. I just went on a tangent. I don't even know what I even just said. But I just know Yahweh is not good, guys. He's a man of war. Jesus is not a man of war. And Christians, they try to, they'll use the book of Revelations to say, see, yes, Jesus murders people. He's a murderer, actually. You didn't know? And they use the most whacked out book, Revelation. A book that most people have no business reading, no business touching. You look like a crazy person when you read it. I can see your eyes all bugged out and twitching as you read it. Okay, going in schizo mode every time. So stop playing games with me. We can read the Gospels. We can read Paul's writings. Okay, this is a religion of peace and love. God is love and God is light. God is not a man of war. God is love, bro. That's the first principle. The first principle is God is love. God is light. God does not tempt people. Okay? That's in 1 John. It says both of those things. 1 John, my favorite book in the New Testament, it says God is love. God is light. God is light, and there is no darkness at all in him. All right? God is light and no darkness at all. But Yahweh says he creates darkness in Isaiah 45:7. Okay? 100% opposite. And there's other times Yahweh brought darkness upon the Egyptians, killed the Egyptians' firstborn son. Okay? The Old Testament teaches us to hate Egypt, the most amazing civilization in the history of the world. Okay? And the authors of the Old Testament, they had zero knowledge of the Old Kingdom. They don't know that history. The Egyptians that were alive when the Old Testament was written, they didn't know about that. They don't forgot the history. Okay? They teach you to hate Egypt. Okay, and the Jews today, they teach their people to hate the Romans. It's just a hateful religion all around. It's just xenophobia, racism. Yahweh, that's why the Israelites love Yahweh, because he's a racist. I used to love being a racist. I'm like, yeah, I'm a racist. God's a racist. You didn't know? I mean, you can do whatever you want. You guys want to be racist and all that stuff? Don't use Jesus to do it. That's all I'm saying. If Jesus was teaching peace and love, you have the right to care about your own people, obviously. Okay, so, but, yeah. But if you're like a super duper racist, like the pagans, you got the neo-pagans, neo-Nazis, National Socialists, they have a problem with Yahweh. Like, why? Yahweh's a man of war. He says to put down all your enemies, to utterly destroy them all. Okay? To show no kindness at all. Show no weakness, no mercy. And he's a racist. And he puts his race before everybody. Well, I mean, more than that. He puts everybody else in slavery. So that's Yahweh. That's slavery God, the war God. He abducts women in battle, takes them home and ravishes them. Okay? There's a part in the Bible where Yahweh says to keep all the young women, give them to me. I think, did he want like 50 versions? And you got to feed Yahweh bulls and goats. That's not the real God. You got to cook a bull and a goat for Yahweh. Like the real God actually came down and said, feed me a bull and a goat. You would think if the real God actually got hungry and needed to eat, that he would eat a whole planet like Galactus. Eat a galaxy. Eat a sun. If a sun would power you up, bro, you'd be good to go for a few years after that one. You know what I'm saying? You ain't going to eat a bull and a goat. That's what people eat. And Yahweh say he likes the smell of the bull and the goat cooking. What is he? He must be a dragon. Some people say Yahweh's a dragon. He's a demon. That's a demon. The demon like the smell of blood. Okay. Well, Yahweh said don't drink the blood. But the Old Testament does say Moses took the blood and sprinkled it upon the people. Okay. And said, behold, the blood of the covenant. He took blood and sprinkled it upon people, bro. That's in the Old Testament. Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on people. Said, this is the covenant that we made with Yahweh. It's the covenant that Israel we made with Yahweh. Yahweh took me up to the top of the mountain and said, if we bow down and worship him, we're going to get rich. We're going to rule over all nations. Now, all I got to do to finish this contract, because this is a blood contract, I'm going to sign this contract in blood. So, Moses bowed down to Yahweh, and he signed a blood contract in blood, and he sacrificed a bull. All right, and then he took the blood and he sprinkled it upon all the Israelites. That's only something a devil worshiper would do, bro. Only devil worshipers engage in blood contracts and blood covenants. A blood covenant sounds like the name of a heavy metal band, bro. Actually, I guarantee you, do a word search. Do an internet search. I guarantee you there's a heavy metal band called Blood Covenant. Blood Sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? That sounds like some black metal. That's like the devil worshiping. 666, upside down cross, grab your crucifix type shit, bro. That's vampiric. That's satanic, bro. A blood covenant, bro. Where you sprinkle blood on people. Jesus ain't sprinkled blood on nobody. Now, they use allegories and metaphors to Jesus, but he was executed by the Romans because the Jews demanded it. That was not a sacrifice. He was executed. If you're going to say it's a sacrifice, that's some metaphorical stuff you're talking. He was executed. He was put on trial. Okay? No. Moses took the blood and sprinkled it upon the people, bro. Blood. It said, behold, this is the words of the covenant. The blood covenant. Sprinkling blood on people, bro. Bro, he was sprinkling blood on people. That's fucking crazy. You just walk around for the rest of the day with blood all over you. It's all over your clothes. Come on, I got done signing the covenant. What if I came home? I came home from school one day. Well, I'm grown up. I'm a little kid. I'm just making shit up. I came home from school one day. I got little dots of blood all over me. My mom's gonna be like, boy, where you been? I just signed a blood covenant. Boy, she gonna take me to get an exorcism, bro. I'm getting baptized. They gonna baptize me in a swimming pool. They gonna take me in a real lake, bro. They gonna, man, you gotta do a lot of cleansing. So what you gonna, bro? Moses took the blood and sprinkled it upon the people, bro. Devil worshiping. Yahweh is Satan. He tortures people, tells you to sacrifice your son, says he says you will happily smash babies. All for you Israelites out there. The Jews are the ones who made up Edomites or white people thing. They're the ones who made that up. That's why the Jews, they say they want to happily smash Edomite babies. Because Psalms 137 verse 9 said to do it. Okay? So the Jews made that up. So the Hebrew Israelites, y'all, Jew copycats. If you're listening, you might be listening. I just got to be sure. You know, you just never know. So I got to let you know. Okay? You a goddamn golem of the Jew. They created you with a magical spell. That's what happened. I'm not out here teaching Jew stuff. Nope. Not me. I ain't no sucker, bro. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. You fool me, can't get fooled again. Okay? That's all I'm saying. Fool me. I can't get fooled again. You can't. You can't and you ain't and you shan't. You can't fool me again. Ain't gonna happen. But anybody who knows me, bro, I'm so sorry. I'm just enjoying myself this evening. I like talking. So anybody who knows me, you know I like talking. Bro. But you know that I take this, excuse me. You know I take this Bible studying stuff serious. You know I take knowledge serious. I'm not a wacko. I don't do drugs. Okay. And actually, what I'm talking about is pretty reasonable and pretty sensible, considering when you do the research and you do the studying, we know for a fact that the first ever New Testament that was ever compiled and put together and said, hey, this thing I have right here is called the New Testament. It's a compilation of books. This contains one gospel and 10 of Paul's letters, excuse me. One gospel and 10 of Paul's letters. And that's called that was the first ever thing we had called the New Testament. Okay, it consisted of one gospel and a bunch of Paul's letters. And it was published by a man named Marcion of Sinope, up in the Pontus region. Okay, up in Mithridates territory, up in Diogenes territory, up in the Cynic. That's up in the land of the Cynics. Okay, that was up in the Pan-Hellen territory. Okay, I'm pretty sure they have some pretty extreme anti-Roman sentiment up in that region, if you know what I'm saying. But I don't think you guys know what I'm saying.